This is Nick.
This is Jack.
It's Wednesday, Ceviche Wednesday, July 3rd. And today's pod, out of all the pods, is the best one yet. It's a T-Boy.
The top 3 pop business news stories you need to know today.
Now, Yeti, stock markets close early today, and they are closed tomorrow.
Chances are you're already closed.
Yeah, you are.
You're already out of office for like a 4.5-day weekend.
But Jack and I tomorrow are publishing a special episode to send you into the 4th of July.
The Patriotic Pod publishes tomorrow.
The most patriotic pod yet. But in the meantime, Jack, we got 3 fantastic stories for today's show. What's on the T-Boy?
For our first story, the most popular sport in America. Are you ready, Nick?
Oh, hit me.
It's cornhole.
Cornhole! Yetis! Jack and I are covering professional cornhole because cornhole borrowed a business model from the circus.
For our second story, Tesla sales fell for a second straight quarter. So Nick and I are asking a shocking question.
Are electric cars the trend or just a fad?
We answer that question using data.
Yes.
And pizza.
And pizza.
And our third and final story is Mars. Mars invented the M&M, but now they sell more pet food than candy.
And this candy company did it with a little trick. A pet-approved little trick.
A dog trick.
Yeah, it's a dog trick.
Literally. But Yetis, before we hit that wonderful mix of stories.
Oh, what a mix of stories before a pretty much really long weekend, Jack. Love the mix of stories.
Thursday's a really convenient day for the 4th of July, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Well put, Jack.
But tomorrow isn't just America's birthday.
Our 248th birthday, to be precise.
There's one other birthday tomorrow that you need to know about.
Get this. Happy 100th birthday to... the Caesar salad.
Put the dressing on the side and hold the anchovies.
Because the Caesar salad turns 100 years old this 4th of July.
Who cares about the Cobb, Nick?
Jack, who needs a niçoise?
The Caesar salad is officially the most recognized salad type in the entire world.
I said anchovies on the side. On the side.
And the Caesar salad has some sweet history.
No, Yetis. The Caesar salad was not invented in Italy.
And no. It has nothing to do with the ancient Roman emperor.
No, Jack and I jumped in T-Boy style. We got a napkin. And what did we discover, Jack?
The Caesar salad was actually invented in Mexico.
That's right. The Caesar salad is hecho on Mexico. Talk to me, Jack. What do we got?
Get this. During the 1920s, Prohibition had banned liquor across the United States.
So Americans went south of the border to Mexico to have a little bit of fun.
And there, one Italian immigrant, Cesare Cardini, or the Americanized version, Caesar Cardini, opened up a cafe in Tijuana, Mexico.
And on July 4th in 1924, he served his mom's salad recipe.
There you have it. It became the Caesar salad.
So, Jack, what's the takeaway for all that? I said it on the side. No one wants the anchovies.
Nick, the Caesar salad was invented by an Italian immigrant in a Mexican restaurant for California tourists.
And then spelled confusingly to make us think it was Roman. Jack, what's the takeaway here?
What's more American than that?
So, Yetis, forget the burgers this 4th of July.
Stick a crouton on your barbecue.
No anchovies! We don't want them, Jack! Let's hit our 3 stories. What is this, the Olive Garden?
15 years before this song, 2 boys from the Northeast met in the dorm. They had an idea that caused a cultural storm. It's the best one yet, but the best is the norm. Jack, Nick, that's it. I don't even think they need to practice. 50%, that's a fat tip. T-Boy City on your list. If you know, you know, cause we ready to go. We can't wait no more, so just start the show. Start the show.
For our first story, Jack, hold the bag because the sport of cornhole is surging across America.
So we want to talk about the Pro Cornhole League, which borrowed a business model from the circus.
All right, Jack, let's jump right into the hero stats. What is the most played sport in America?
It's not basketball, it's not baseball, it's not bowling, it's not golf.
Tennis? To know. What is it, Jack?
According to a recent Ipsos survey, it's cornhole.
It's cornhole, the millennial horseshoes. We're talking about cornhole here.
Cornhole is the most popular sport in America because according to that survey, 20% of Americans played cornhole last year.
That's beating bowling's 19% and swimming's 18%. And again, tennis to know.
You think golf is popular, Nick? Cornhole is played by twice as many Americans as golf.
Stick that in your 7-iron. Yetis, cornhole requires 2 wooden boards of Baltic birch, 1 cutout hole in each of them, and 8 bean bags for the 2 teams.
And there's 27 feet between those 2 boards, and you better not step on across the line as you're tossing that bag.
And then you can't sit with us at lunch. Yetis, cornhole can be played on a beach or a lawn, at a wedding reception, or at the Sig Ep sorority party.
The goal is simple. Get the bag in the hole.
That's it. But here's the news. Cornhole has become so popular that they just launched a pro sport league.
It's called the ACL, the American Cornhole League.
The American Cornhole League. But Jack, this American Cornhole League, it ain't playing on ESPN, the Ocho, is it, man?
No, they got a streaming deal with ESPN proper.
And have you heard of our buddy Jeremiah Lewis, my friend?
Part-time UPS driver, part-time professional cornhole.
This guy Jeremiah is dominating the cornhole professional circuit from Ohio to Iowa.
What's it called when you land all 4 bags in the hole?
I have no idea, Jack.
A grand slam? That's all Jeremiah does.
Yetis, he was the first name brand cornholer with a sponsorship deal, and the Olympic team may want to start paying attention.
Who's the sponsor?
I think it's Bush's Baked Beans, and I kind of love that, Jack. You know, besties, they say bowling is the only sport with an ashtray built into the equipment.
Well, cornhole is the only sport where having a beer in your hand actually improves your form.
It's like beer pong, but the PG version.
Although someone is going to comment that we're calling it wrong. It's called bags.
Either way, it's an acquired taste. But Yetis, here's what Jack and I found fascinating about this professional cornhole story. The ACL is actually part of a broader trend in entertainment.
Upstart sporting leagues.
Upstart sporting leagues. Yetis, professional lacrosse, professional bull riding, professional pickleball, and now professional cornhole.
Rookie professional leagues are disrupting the veteran sports leagues we know.
Speaking of golf, Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, those pro golfers launched a new one-on-one indoor golf league.
That's already worth $500 million.
And what's the reason, Jack, for all of these upstart sports leagues suddenly disrupting the sports market?
Live sports on TV. We Americans simply can't get enough of it.
Jack and I have said it before, live sports are the holy grail of TV. That's what gets you hooked watching TV.
With only 4 big sports leagues, there's more live sports demand than there is supply.
And that's the problem in the industry, and that's what's drawing the upstart sports leagues.
That's why we're seeing the rise of pro pickleballers and semi-pro cornholers.
Jack, for some reason, I now have a craving for baked beans, and I don't even know why.
See, the sponsorship worked.
Oh, it's already working. But yeah, it's a funny thing Jack and I noticed. There's one big difference in how these upstart leagues are using a different business model. So Jack, can you toss the bag and tell us what's the takeaway for all our buddies in the entertainment industry?
Upstart sports leagues follow a touring model, just like the circus.
Ah, Yetis, professional cornhole. Like those other new leagues, it doesn't have any hometown teams.
Instead, all the teams follow the ACL's tour. The league will come to you.
The touring model, because maintaining an interest for like the New York City professional cornholer team, like that would require like a really big fan base.
The threshold for building a local audience that will follow the team year round, that is really high.
Instead, it's cheaper and easier to build a national audience with scarcity and intrigue.
Cornhole, it only comes to Cleveland once a year, so you better mark your calendar and you better show up.
And funny thing, Jack, we have seen this same concept before, and where have we seen it exactly?
In the circus.
It's the same business model as the circus.
All the new sports leagues that are sprouting up, they come to town once a year, just like the Ringling Brothers did 100 years ago.
Professional cornhole, professional pickleball, professional bull riding, they're all meeting demand for live sports, and they're doing it with tours.
Maybe someday they'll be popular enough to have hometown teams like the MLB and NFL do.
But in the meantime, they're borrowing the same old business model as the circus to pull it off.
The touring model.
For our second story, Tesla just announced that sales shrank for a second straight quarter.
With so many negative EV headlines, Nick and I are going to ask an uncomfortable question.
Yes, we are.
Are electric cars a fad?
Are electric cars a fad? And Jack and I are going to answer it by ordering some pizza. More on that in a minute. In the meantime, Jack, I'm feeling unplugged. You got a low battery. Does anyone have a phone charger out there?
Yet Tesla just reported that they delivered 443,000 cars from April to June of this year.
All right, 443,000 cars. Is that good? Is that bad? Sprinkle on some context, please.
Bad. It's down 5% from last year. Tesla's not supposed to be shrinking.
It's actually Tesla's second straight quarter of sales shrinkage.
The leader of electric cars spent the last 6 months selling fewer cars than they did 1 year ago.
Now, Bestie's funny thing. As a couple of guys here who happen to own electric vehicles and think it's a solution for climate change, Jack and I, we got to ask a little bit of a worrying question.
With shrinkage coming from Tesla 2 quarters in a row, is it possible that electric cars are a fad?
I mean, Jack, look back at our recent podcast, Lordstown and Fisker. Those electric vehicle brands just went bankrupt.
Tesla's been shrinking all year.
And we're both spending time with our in-laws who are pretty suspicious of the electric cars still.
They're still just as suspicious about EVs as they were 3 years ago.
They're like, what's going on with that battery? It's a really big, scary battery.
So Nick and I are answering the question in this story. Are EVs a fad? Like Peloton, plant-based meat, and planking.
So besties, Jack and I checked the rest of the industry to find out, and there's a funny reason why we chose to do it today, right, Jack?
The whole industry announces their quarterly car production sales on the same day.
Yeah, it's actually extremely convenient for our podcast.
Yeah, yesterday we looked at all the production reports for all the 5 top EV companies in the US.
And it started with Rivian, the Robin, to Tesla's electric Batman. Jack, what were Rivian's numbers?
Rivian announced yesterday that sales rose by 9% compared to the year before.
All right, Jack, what about Kia and Hyundai's electric car sales?
Even better. Sales of Kias and Hyundais in the US rose 31% and 36% so far in 2024.
Jack, buckle up that seatbelt. Let's jump on Interstate 94 and head on up to Detroit. What's going on up there?
GM is selling way fewer EVs than Tesla overall, but their sales growth is 40%. Not too shabby.
And Ford took the cake in the electric car industry, baby.
Ford sales of electric Mustangs and electric F-150s are up 88% so far in 2024.
All right, Jack, let's whip out the full scoreboard here and do a full ESPN-style recap. What do we got?
The number 2 through 5 electric car brands behind Tesla are all growing pretty fast, actually. It's just the number 1 Tesla that's not growing.
So Tesla's EV sales are down, but every other car company's EV sales are up.
The reason? It's explained by pizza.
So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over in the car industry?
Tesla is getting a smaller slice of a bigger pie.
For those trying to understand the electric vehicle market right now, your analogy should be pizza.
For about 15 years, Tesla was the de facto electric car industry. It was the entire pie.
It was the pie, because from 2006 to 2021, there is no serious competition. Tesla was pretty much the only electric car brand.
But since, in the past 3 years, more car companies have jumped into the EV market. So now, Tesla is down to just 50% of the electric car market.
So if you're just looking at Tesla, you see shrinkage. But if you zoom out, the whole electric vehicle market is actually growing.
Since 2021, Tesla's slice of the US EV pie has shrank by almost half.
But the pie's total size is actually twice as big.
Long term, if we're worried about reducing our carbon footprint, you don't care about who has the biggest slice. You care about the size of the electric car pie.
And that's exactly what's happening here. Tesla's getting a smaller slice, but it's of a way bigger pie.
So Nick, are electric cars a fad?
Survey says, no, not a fad. For our third and final story, the owner of M&M's is now the leader in pet food.
How did this candy company pivot from chocolate to Chihuahua?
How do they do it, Jack?
By creating a fake badge.
A fake badge. All right, but Jack, this July 4th, I assume that you and Alex are going to have a fantastic picnic spread, maybe a charcuterie board. Are you doing charcuterie out there?
I mean, I wouldn't call it charcuterie. It's more of a 4th of July buffet.
That's kind of what I'm going for. But Jack, have you heard of a barcuterie board?
Barcuterie?
Barcuterie. Instead of prosciutto and cheese, it's kibble and bets for the little puppies out there.
What? Oh, like barcuterie?
Like barcuterie. Because Yeti's pet spending has doubled in just the past 5 years in America.
But guess who's the company at the center of your pet spending? It's not Purina Dog Chow.
No.
It's Mars. the candy company.
Mars, the candy company, the owner of M&M's, Wrigley Gum, Skittles, Nerds, Swedish Fish. We could go on, Jack.
Mars is one of the largest privately held companies in America.
Yes.
And in 2014, 10 years ago, they made a decision to expand to a new industry.
Yeah, they adopted a puppy. I mean, they acquired a company related to puppies. That's what they did. Yeah.
Yetis, Mars has been on an acquisition spree of pet-related companies since 2014.
Jack, let's sprinkle on some context to the Mars pet care division. What do you say, man?
They own dozens of dog food brands like Iams, Eukanuba, Pedigree, everything in the pet aisle at your grocery store.
And get this, Mars, the candy company, even bought a chain of veterinary clinics.
Your puppy is going to be seen by Dr. Snickers.
But here's the news, Yetis. Mars, the candy company, is now getting more revenue from pets than from people.
Mars had sales of $50 billion last year, and 60% of it was from their pet care division.
What Jack and I are saying, besties, is that Mars isn't a candy company. Mars is now a canine company.
And the man who led that pivot 10 years ago was promoted recently to CEO, and he has a bold new strategy.
He's basically the Willy Wonka of wine marauders. And he's got a bold strategy, Jack.
And you can see that strategy if you fly into the Nashville airport.
The Nashville airport in lovely Tennessee. If you fly in there, Yetis, you're going to notice it is certified as pet friendly.
There's a mini dog park. There's a pet relief area in every terminal. There's even Wi-Fi for the humans waiting for their dogs to go to the bathroom.
Jack and I checked out pictures of this Nashville airport, and it feels like a pet paradise. It even has the official seal of approval.
It's a certified pet-friendly city, according to the Better Cities for Pets organization.
In fact, there are only 150 pet-friendly certified locations in the United States, and it's all based on 12 specific criteria.
A 12-part rubric to pass the pet friendliness test. If there's no dog park, there's no badge.
Jack, this is kind of like the LEED certification that you see on office buildings these days for environmentalists.
Or organic certification on food produce you see at the grocery store.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing, but it's pet certification for pet happiness of an airport.
Another but though, this pet certification badge, it's run, owned, created by the Mars company we were just talking about.
Oh, that's the key detail for our takeaway.
If you go to bettercitiesforpets.com, you'll see Mars at the bottom of the website, sneakily down there, right in the corner.
And they ain't serving charcuterie. So Jack, what's the takeaway for our buddies over at the Mars Pet Corporation?
Demand is like a puppy. You can't just feed it. You gotta nurture it.
Okay, so Mars has suddenly created an award that surreptitiously grows the pet market?
Mars is sneakily advocating for pet-friendly cities in order to boost sales of their pet products.
I'm sorry, Jack, this sounds kind of self-serving. Oh, wait, Mars admits it.
That new Mars CEO we told you about, he told Guardian newspaper, we are unapologetically a business.
Now, for moral reasons, this is a public good.
The world is a better place if there's more loving pets in it.
Yet for commercial reasons, this pet certification is a selfish act.
Yeah, the more pets, the more Mars is going to sell pet food.
But frankly, either way, it's a bold strategy worth highlighting. It's the nurturing of demand.
We have only seen nurturing of demand one other time.
True.
It was with Michelin.
Yes.
The tire company. And they did it 100 years ago, remember?
Oh, it was an amazing story. Because, yes, to sell more car tires, Michelin, the tire company, launched the Michelin Restaurant Guide.
So that people would drive more and need to buy more tires.
In order to go to those restaurants. What they did was they nurtured demand to sell more tires.
Well, Mars created a certified pet-friendly badge to sell more pet food.
And that is nurturing demand like a puppy. Who's a good boy? Jack, can you whip up the takeaways for us for Ceviche Wednesday?
Cornhole is the most played sport in America. Asterisk on sport, by the way.
And the American Cornhole League is borrowing the business model of the circus, touring.
For our second story, Tesla announced a second straight quarter of shrinkage, which makes you wonder, were EVs a fad?
But the data don't lie, and the data says they are not a fad. Tesla is just taking a smaller slice of a bigger EV pie, just like a pizza.
And our third and final story, Mars is pushing cities to be more pet-friendly in order to ultimately sell more pet food.
Because you can't just feed demand, you gotta nurture it like a puppy.
Yeah. But Yetis, this pod's not over yet. Here's what else you need to know today.
First, we just finished the first half of 2024, and here is the stock scoreboard. The S&P 500 is up 15%, and there's one key reason why.
Almost all of the stock market's growth comes from just 6 companies that are benefiting the most from AI. The AI mafia.
In fact, just NVIDIA accounts for 1/3 of the stock market's entire growth.
Also, Bitcoin is up 40% so far this year. Chocolate prices are up 85% so far this year. And gold just hit an all-time high price.
Even Abercrombie is still on a popped collar streak. Abercrombie stock has doubled this year.
And second, a record amount of travel is expected this 4th of July. So Nick and I are whipping up the best and worst times to drive this weekend.
All right, Jack, the best time to drive, what is it?
Wednesday before noon, Thursday before noon, or Friday before 10 a.m.
All right, so you want to hit the road early. But Jack, the worst time to drive this holiday weekend, what is that?
Between 2 and 7 o'clock on Wednesday, which is today.
Yeah.
If you're driving this afternoon or this evening, we're sorry.
Yeah, the early bird gets the burrito. You know what they say. And finally, Toys R Us is one of the first major brands to create a TV commercial entirely with artificial intelligence.
The marketing industry is not thrilled about it.
No, they're not.
But Toys R Us says they want to be an early adopter of artificial intelligence.
And Jack, could you describe this little AI commercial for us, please?
It looks like it's created by AI, by the way. But it's a boy going into some fantasy world with like AI Jeffrey the giraffe, like egging him along this journey.
It feels like the real marketing here is that they did a commercial with AI.
I think that was the whole point. They just wanted to say they did this. Yeah.
Now, time for the best fact yet. This one whipped up by a Yeti named David Lees.
This week, Nick and I calculated the number of men and women in finance who have blue eyes, a trust fund, and are 6'5".
And Jack, what were the numbers exactly?
672 men, 12 women.
But here's the quick correction from our buddy David Lees, who happens to be a statistician.
When we were crunching the numbers, we assumed statistical independence across all those variables.
What this statistician points out is that there is a correlation between certain variables, like height and income or finance and trust funds.
You're more likely to have a trust fund if you work in finance.
And you're more likely to have higher income if you're taller.
So we shouldn't have multiplied the percentages as if they were independent, because they're correlated.
It turns out that the exact number of men and women in finance with blue eyes, a trust fund who are 6'5" is marginally higher than what we said, just by like a few people. It's pretty close. You could round up on this one.
Yeah, David Lees basically just rejected the null.
Jack, you had no correction about Nantucket. But I think the real moral of the story here, Jack, is that you shouldn't be searching for a man or a woman in finance with blue eyes, a trust fund who's 6'5". They should be searching for you.
I'm not correcting that one.
Yetis, you've been looking fantastic all week. Remember to click to follow us on Spotify or Apple so you get every pod, including tomorrow's special pod.
Happy 4th of July. Nick and I will see you tomorrow.
Patriotic pod is coming your way. And before we go, a congratulations to Cody and Kim Rhodes in Pleasant Hill, Iowa.
These two are living in Germany. They just got engaged in Greece, and now they're getting married this weekend in Denmark.
Oh, and Jack, we got a 1-year anniversary for Uzman and Tina.
Celebrating down in Woodbridge, Virginia.
And yet, if you have got a shout out for a buddy, yourself, a birthday, anniversary, you name it, Jack and I want to get it on the pod.
So click the link in the episode description and fill out our easy form.
Or go to tboypod.com/shoutouts.
This is Jack. I own stock of Abercrombie & Fitch. Nick and I both own ETFs of the S&P 500, and we both own one Bitcoin, whose name is Ben.